Hey, we are sitting at more or less 11 million, a bit more than 11 million liters of benzene. That's a lot. So yes, this is very nice. This is working very nice, and I think if my maths are correct, all of the capacity of the super tank should be able to support 19 hours of IV power. Having said that, I know I said in the previous episode that I wanted to do nitrobenzene, but I just rethink that, and I'm not going to do nitrobenzene. There are two reasons. First, I've been doing some maths, and although we can do it, we should be able to do nitrobenzene even at this point in the game, even at HP, but it is just too much stuff to craft and too much stuff to do, so I don't think it would be worth it. Well, it will be worth it, but we don't need really that much energy. With this should be enough. And we are really producing like 1 amp of IV constantly, discounting all of the energy that we are using while generating energy. So it's a 1 IV amp total that we can use constantly, and that is a lot. I think that is a lot for HV, for the rest of HV, and also for EV. Instead, something that I want to enter, because it's going to make our life easier. Well, my life easier, yours not, because you're only watching this, you're not playing. It's going to be entering into AE2. This is really what I want right now. Now, we could have entered into AE at MV. The problem is that this needs a lot of mana steel. This is a 16 mana steel wire, and it is 8 of these 16 mana steel wires. That is a lot. I'm not going to do the maths, but that is a lot. But at HV, we can just use a 2 times galvanized ether steel wire, and will give us 1 enemy controller. So this is way more cheaper. So that means that we can officially enter into AE2. The problem is that I need a lot of circuits. It's not really that hard to make circuits. This is actually cheap, as we have unlocked the microprocessors assemblies, these ones here, which are quite cheap. If I want to do the craft, I do need some plastic boards. And one thing that I am missing a lot is sulfuric acid. So this is my storage of sulfuric acid. This is connected to the chromium processing array here. I only have 25 buckets. This is little, this is very little. And the way I was crafting sulfuric acid is through this. So getting sulfur trioxide with water to get sulfuric acid. Sulfur trioxide is sulfur dioxide with oxygen, and sulfur dioxide is oxygen with sulfur. It is not fun to craft sulfuric acid that way. So what we're going to do is craft our first LCR, our first large chemical reactor, because the good thing of LCRs is that they allow us to do recipes with program circuit number 24. In GregTech, normally all of the craft recipes that are on circuit number 24, at least for chemical reactions, they are way cheaper and way simple to craft. The process I was using requires 3 steps. So first sulfur dioxide, then sulfur trioxide, and then sulfuric acid. However, if we use an LCR at program circuit 24, we only need some water and sulfur, and we get sulfuric acid directly. So indeed, it is way better. So before starting with A2, we are going to start with sulfuric acid. Now, before doing sulfuric acid, we actually need tetrafluoroethylene. For this, we need an HV chemical reactor, and this one goes here. Now with this we should have the LCR controller, and with this we should have the pipe casing. Now we also need a bunch of chemically inert PTFE machine casings. We need 16 of these. I'll need more PTFE. I will need more PTFE, way more. And there is it, our first LCR. Now I didn't get the quest because I need to grab a bucket of each one. I need to grab a bucket of methane, a bucket of chloroform, a bucket of fluorine, a bucket of hydrofluoric acid, a bucket of tetrafluoroethylene, and a bucket of liquid polytetrafluoroethylene. I'm doing that later. However, now we have our LCR, our first LCR, the first of many. This one I have it for 1 input bus and 3 input hatches, and then 1 output hatch, well, 2 output hatches. I suppose this is going to be enough for any kind of on-demand crafting. Now again, the LCR allows us the use of circuit number 24 receipts. In this case, we are going to be using this to make a lot of sulfuric acid. For this, we do need a lot of water, so I made an infinite water cover. This is fairly cheap. It's just HV circuit plus a cauldron plus 2 electric pumps. So let's put this right here, for example. We're getting water. Then we need to set this into circuit number 24 and throw some sulfur. And after 16 seconds, that easy, that simple, we will get a bucket of sulfuric acid. This feels so good. The good thing of this as well is that we can overclock this. So if I want this to be a bit quicker, I can just add a second HV energy hatch and thus have all of the receipts at EV tier. I'm not going to do that. Instead, now this time to make some circuits. For you, maybe 10 seconds, but for me, a lot of time. Now if you notice, we've also crafted a new raw circuit, in this case the phosphorus doped wafers, which comes from phosphorus doped monocrystalline silicon boules, which comes from this. So a lot of silicon plus phosphorus plus small piles of gallium arsenide. This is way better. Like you get from one bowl, you get 32 wafers, and from the wafers, in the case of the gray wafers, we get 4 instead of 1. And this also opens to a new kind of wafers, which we are not going to be using right now. This is for the future. Just look at all of these chips. This is a lot. I overestimated the amount of wafers we would get from this new bowl. I've also crafted a lot of circuits, and I still need to craft some more EV circuits because we are going to need them. However, AE2 requires something very important, which are ME cables, which is going to be the let's say, the bridges of our network. It is what makes all of the network connect itself. So we need a lot of them. And something beautiful, something very nice about this modpack, and something I love, is that this receipt is quite generous. 1 ingot of gold and 2 more ingots of gold, so 3 ingots of gold and 4 ingots of polyethylene will give us 8 dense smart cables. This I feel this is a very generous receipt. And of course, if you want the ×1 cables, is almost the same. From each gold cable and 1 ingot of gold and 1 polyethylene sheet, you get 8 smart cables. I think this is very, the craft receipt in general, it is very, very generous. But that means that we need to code a lot of cables. And I don't want to keep using raw rubber. Instead, we are going to go for liquid silicone rubber. If we want to coat a gold cable, for example, if we use liquid rubber, we will need 288 millibuckets to coat a 4 times gold wire. But if we use liquid silicone rubber, we only need half of it, so 144 millibuckets per each for its gold wire. I think it is way easier to craft the raw rubber, but because we are going to need to coat a lot of cables, I think it is a good idea to upgrade our rubber right now. And this is fairly easy. Just silicone, water, chlorine, and methane. So we can put water, we can put methane gas, and we can put chlorine, and we'll need to throw the silicone dust. And we will get here polydimethylsiloxane dust. Now if we just throw this thing here and some sulfur, we should be getting very soon some liquid silicone rubber, which we are going to be using from now on to cover wires. Now not only that, but we also need 2 new machines. First one will be the HV polarizer, and the second one will be the laminator. There's it. Now let's throw both machines anywhere here. Doesn't matter the place. Let's just not make sure that we are using a lot of machines at the same time. So the first one, the polarizer, if we put some Certus quartz, this will give us charged Certus quartz, which is a kind of important material for A2, especially because this allows us to make P2P tunnels. And as mentioned before, the laminator, it is a very, well, not the laminator, but the receipts for the smart cables, they are very generous. For example, if we want to make the dense smart cables, we only need some gold cables for it, covered with some polyethylene sheets and then gold. And this will give us the dense smart cables, and 8 of them at this tier. The higher the tier we will be throughout the run, the more cables we will be able to get on the laminator. So for example, in EV, using PTFE and aluminum cable and liquid aluminum, we should be able to get 12 dense smart cables instead of 8, which is the actual receipt that we are using right now. At UV, we should be able to get 1 stack per each for its yttrium barium cuprate cables, 16 tiny sheets of polybenzimidazole. So yeah, at the end, I think this is very generous. It is a very generous receipt. The same happens with the regular smart cables. We only need 1X gold cables and the same polyethylene sheets. And with the same time, we should be able to get 8 Fluix smart cables. So again, I feel all of the receipts for applied Energistics, they are very, very generous. And I love this. I really like this. It is finally time for some AE2. So we are here in our center of commands. This was the first building we actually built for our old Ars compound. And this will have 2 floors. So this is the first floor, which I'll have all of our terminals for AE2 and maybe some displays if there are some availables to check on some maybe miners or fluid pumps, or maybe the status of our energy production and stuff like that. And here, if we go down, we have a kind of basement in which we will have our ME controller. I'm not going to lie, crafting all of the things that we are going to need for this episode, it was just a lot of time. And if I'm being honest, everything I crafted, I think this is going to be an overkill. I don't think I'll be needing this much stuff, at least for now. This is way of overkill. It is too much circuits. This is a very expensive project. I said in the previous episode that benzene was the most expensive project we had until now. Now let me update on that. this is the most expensive project we have until now. And in this first episode of Applied Energistics, which is going to be 2 parts, I think, that I'm going to divide this, we are only going to be building all of the main infrastructure that we will be needing. So the controller, some fluid storage, molecular assemblers, and autocrafting CPUs. And that is because half of this episode was everything about LCRs. And again, this is going to be very expensive. And the next episode, which is going to be the second part of AE2, in which I'll be building some machines and better infrastructure for autocrafting, it's going to be also quite expensive. But let's start with this small dirt cube. Now this is a pretty much basic controller. Again, I think this is overkill for for what we are going to be doing right now. But I mean, I think it is better to stress right now and then relax later. And this is pretty much not easy to expand on. Yeah, I don't think this will be easy to expand on. I will most likely, whenever we enter into IV or LGV maybe, I'll need to make all of this controller bigger. And maybe I'll change the shape I'll be using into a more easy to expand kind of controller. But for now, this will work more than enough. So we will be working a lot with P2P channels. So we can just grab our first 8 P2P and put it on this side of the controller. And down here, in this block here, we can replace this by the last ME controller. So at the end, we are using 20 controllers on the main controller that we are going to be connecting our P2Ps. And this controller right here, we are going to be using to transfer all of those P2P tunnels. We are going to condense them here, condense them in between a lot of quotation marks, and then we are just going to transport all of those channels from here. I don't think I explained it myself well, but there is it. Something nice about the smart cables is that we can use GregTech spray cans, and we can just paint all of these cables just like this. And I think it also works if you press shift while looking in a direction with the spray can and you just spray, it will paint a line of cables into the direction you are looking at. Now, before anything, we actually need to also give some energy into this controller. We are going to be using GregTech as well for this. So here I have a dense energy cell. We can just throw it here. I'll be using more smart cables, and for this we really don't care if these ones are connecting into this, because this is not going to be carrying any important channels. Most likely I'll be using this line here for our wireless A2 and just to transport energy into the controller. Again, I don't think this dense energy cell is really necessary for now. This is more of an overkill. But again, stress right now, relax later, and we can paint this black. So we're going to put an energy acceptator here. Up here we are going to put a gas turbine. In this case we are going to be using HV. I think this is going to be more than enough for now. And we can connect our benzene ender tank into here. Let's grab a pump, and we only need to pump in some benzene, and this will start producing some energy. And if we come down here, there is it. It is properly working. Now we also need to power this. So what we will do is the same. We can grab these Fluix cables here. Let's paint all of this as well. And we have to make sure we are not directly connecting this cable into the controller. If we do that, then it will create an illegal controller. What we can do is connect a quartz fiber, and we can just connect all of these cables. And what this will do is transfer only energy. It won't transfer any channel usage of the main controller into this. This is important because if we connect 2 different controllers directly with only smart cables or any kind of Fluix cable, it will create an illegal controller. This works because this cable is not connecting directly into this controller. It is connecting into the P2P channels, these P2P tunnels. And this cable is only transporting the channels well, not transporting the channels of the P2Ps, but it's transporting the P2Ps itself into this controller here. And then from here, we're going to just to transport all of these channels. Now, again, a lot of the things that I'm going to be doing right now is going to be quite an overkill. We don't need to transport 32 channels right now. We will be only using, at most for this episode, 8 channels. So yeah, dense cables is quite an overkill, but I mean, we have them, so let's just use them. So where can we start? I think we are going to start with the autocrafting CPUs. I think that's going to be the most interesting thing. So we are going to extend this cable here until maybe right here. Yeah, I think this sounds nice. And let's set a P2P channel here. P2P tunnel. And something I forgot to craft actually is a memory card. If we grab the basic card with the 1K storage component, we should get our memory card. So let's just grab this tunnel right here. This tunnel right here. Now this is binded. And let's bind it into this P2P tunnel here. And now we should have channels right here. 32 channels in total. Sorry. No, I didn't want to do this. Mistake. Yeah, so this one for autocrafting, I wanted to take this from here, not from right there. So this is going to be the P2P for autocrafting. We are going to be using some dense cables here on the beginning. And then from here, we are going to take some regular Fluix cables. This is going to go to our terminals and ME drives, which we are going to do later. And then we are going to take way more channels than what we actually need. Yes, again, we really don't need this much channels. This is way overkill. I just want to repeat this as many times as I can. So for starters, we are not going to have that many CPUs. We are only going to have 3. Ideally, in the near future, we would like to have 4 CPUs of 2x4 size. Sorry, 4 CPUs, and then 2 CPUs of 3x2 size. For now, each of our CPUs will have 4 coprocessors, and the rest will be filled with crafting storage units. So let's do this. That's 1, that is 2, and that is the third one. With this, we will have 2 CPUs with 64K crafting capabilities, and 1 CPU with 8K crafting capabilities. Most of our recipes, I don't think they are going to reach even the 8K maximum capacity. I don't know how to say it. It is not going to reach this much. I don't think so for now. So again, this is way of an overkill. The most important thing that we should have on our CPUs is co-processing units, because this will make the CPU to use more machines at the same time. And there is it. We have 3 CPUs online. Nice. Look at this is working. And as you can see, we can see the CPUs on the system. And we are only using 150 EU per tick. So that is very nice. That is very nice. We are not even using, well, we are almost using a 1 amp MV. So we have a lot more to go. Now, because we have connected our CPUs, I think the most logical thing to do right now is to also connect our molecular assemblers. Now, there are many ways of building molecular assemblers. There are some ways you can either go for the aesthetics and don't focus on the efficiency, or you can go fully crazy and just go for the most efficient arrangement to make molecular assemblers and ME pattern providers. What we are going to do is do a fairly semi-efficient, maybe, just to say something. We are going to be doing this. So each pattern provider here, each pattern provider will have 3 molecular assemblers at its disposition. The same here, this one will have 3 molecular assemblers, and this one will have 3 molecular assemblers, and this one will have 3 molecular assemblers. Of course, to these molecular assemblers, we should add also some acceleration cards. I'm going to do that next episode. And of course, in the near future, when I craft more pattern providers, I'll put them here, 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 and here, like this. So basically, we will have 8 pattern providers, which will be connected to 3 molecular assemblers each. That's going to be way more than enough for now. And I mean, it should look quite good, I suppose. And I'm thinking that we also can do some on the top. And in the middle, maybe I will put some steel frames or stainless steel frames, just like a kind of separator. The same here. And if we need more, we can expand on this. Now we are going to grab our memory card. And we are actually going to grab another P2P tunnel. In this case, we are going to grab this. This is going to be only for the molecular assemblers. This will allow us to have 32 molecular assemblers at maximum through this P2P tunnel. This is going to be more than enough for now. And we can only use these dense cables to transport the channels. That is just fine. Actually, we need these ones. We cannot use these small ones. Because in each room, I'm thinking of having 16 pattern providers. That means that we will need to transport 16 channels. That is a lot. That is a lot. And the center is right here. So we can grab one Fluix cable. We can connect that there. So we can connect it right here. And we only have to connect all of this. And now we have 4 channels being used. That is connected to these 4 ME pattern providers. Later I will decide on which colors to use for the cables. Maybe I'll change them. Maybe I won't. But yeah, it is just fine for now. It is just to separate them and know what's going on with each one. Now the last zone I want to connect will be our fluid storage. Not the regular storage, but the fluid one, which is coming down here. I think it's going to be enough. We can first grab another P2P tunnel. In this case, maybe it will be this one. And we are going to connect it into this one. And that one goes here. Nice. Now, if I'm being honest, fluid storage, I was really thinking on how to do fluid storage differently from item storage. Because one of the things with fluid storage is that there are 2 main, maybe 2 ways we can store fluids. First one, and is what we are doing right now, is through super tanks. Depending of the tier of the super tank we want to use, it will always use 4 circuits of the tier, and will store always 16 millibuckets for only 1 fluid. However, thanks to Applied Energistic, we also have fluid storage cells, which uses 1 storage component and 1 fluid cell housing. And because of how weird it is its storage system for Applied Energistics, depending of the tier of the circuit, I think it can handle more fluids up to a point. So that's why it is a bit trickier to use. I don't like trickier things, so we are going to go simple and just use a bunch of super tanks. In this case, for now I'll be using super tanks 2. So the MV1s, we are going to start with 16, 8 into this side, and another 8 into this side right here. Nice. And of course we can add more on the top if we need them. For now, this is going to be weight and enough. Actually, I don't think I'll be transporting fluids for now into here. I just want to install them. We are not moving yet. Moving will be maybe next episode when I finish with Applied Energistics. Anyway, so how are we going to handle fluids? Because of course, we need to store the fluids, but we also need to use them for crafting recipes. For that, we have a bunch of ME storage buses. So for demonstration purposes, we are going to be installing 1 super tank. Let's see. Let's grab, for example, polyethylene. We're going to be using the super tank for polyethylene. Well, not necessarily, but it's just for demonstration purposes. So polyethylene, we have this one here. Let me actually grab this one. So what we are going to be doing is having a storage bus on the back of each super tank. We have to make sure that on the back, it is on fluid output on the back, and that we also want to disable fluids input. Well, we want to allow fluids input from the output side. We also want to lock a fluid for the super tank, and we also want set a fluid into the storage bus. So this fluid will be the fluid that the super tank will contain. In this case, polyethylene. And now we can just dump the polyethylene right here. And if we take everything, we should have their polyethylene locked. So we make sure that only polyethylene can't enter this super tank. Now, in order to test this fluid storage, I think we can also install our terminals right here. Now, of course, we want to cover all of this. We don't want to look at cables, any cable. These have to look nice. There is it. So we are going to have 3 terminals. We are going to have the crafting terminal, the pattern encoding, and the pattern access terminal. In this case, this is the extended pattern access. I normally tend to have them in this way. So the crafting terminal in the center, encoding on this side, I forgot the name, and the access terminal on this other side. Let's call this blue and red. And now that we are here, I also want to have our storage drivers right here. So something like this. We're going to have 2 for now. Maybe this will be expanded to 3. Again, this is overkill. We won't be needing this much storage in a very, very soon future. But it is always good to have them already there. We are going to connect them like this. Again, 1 cable should be enough, but I'm lazy to break that block, so we're going to be using 2. At the end, it's going to be using 5 channels, so it doesn't matter. There's it, 5 channels online, so that means that everything is connected. And we should have these things working. There is it. And as you can see, we can see polyethylene here. So we can also grab polyethylene. And we can also insert polyethylene. And if we come here, we should see the polyethylene right here. Now, the very last thing that we can also do is item storage. So for item storage, I am going to be using 2 kind of storage options that we can have. The first one will be regular item cells regular item cells. So we are going to be doing 216K, and the rest we are going to be doing 4K. Again, as I'm always saying right now, this is way of an overkill. For now, this is very much an overkill. We really don't need this much storage right now. But yes, as I said, stress right now and relax later. So yeah, just look at all of this space here. This is going to last us for a lot of time. Oh, this is so nice. We are ready to have applied Energistics and autocrafting. This is going to relieve a lot of stress. A lot. But anyway, this is the end of the episode. Yay! So yes, for the next episode, we will finish with applied Energistics by building a lot of machines. I will need a lot of circuits. A lot. We will be building a lot of machines, and most likely I'll be moving some setups from the old base to this base, and that will be most of the episode. Yes, just building the new base, so we can start doing the things that we are interested on. Complex machines. Yes. But anyway, as always, if you're still here, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a better day, because it can always be better. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.